All right. Hello. Good evening, everybody. My name is Darius. I'm an assistant director of undergraduate admissions here at Boston University, and we're so excited to welcome you virtually to our campus this evening. Every member of the undergraduate admissions staff kind of has a different geographic territory that we're responsible for. I'm the person who travels to Long Island, Michigan, and Indiana. Don't worry if you're not from one of those areas. There is an assistant director who travels to your territory as well, and we like to break things down that way. Before we get started with the presentation, I do want to let you know that there's a space on the platform in front of you for you to type in questions. After I give you kind of a brief overview of campus life, I'll be joined by one of our remarkable students who's going to be here specifically to answer those questions. So feel free to start typing those in as they come up, and we'll get to them in a little bit. But let's get started without any further ado. So the BU community, a couple of numbers, facts, and figures for you to keep in mind. About 80% of our students live on campus for all 4 years. We're a pretty residential campus, and we guarantee housing for those 4 years, so there's always a place for you to stay. Housing options can vary quite a bit, from more traditional dorm-style housing to nicer suites and apartment-style housing as you sort of move up through the ranks. And then when you're on campus, campus life is really vibrant. We've got over 450 different student organizations, everything from professional organizations such as Women in Computer Science to cultural clubs like La Alianza Latina to purely recreational clubs such as our beekeeping club. So there's really something for everyone. And if there's a club that you want to get involved with that we don't already have started, it's really easy to work with student life and get those clubs off the ground. And if that 450 number is really overwhelming, don't worry. We've got Splash at the beginning of every semester, which is our involvement fair. It's an opportunity to connect with representatives from all these different clubs and get a sense of what sorts of things you want to sprinkle in terms of involvement during your time at BU. So for those of you who are athletes, we've got 40 intramural and club sports and 24 Division I varsity sports through the NCAA. A lot of school spirit on campus, especially at our hockey games. Those are really a big deal for us. And then for the service-oriented of you, we've got 13 student-run community service programs and a very active community service center that does over 75,000 hours of service annually. So lots of really great projects to jump into and make really meaningful connections with the greater Boston community, as well as other communities outside of Boston through things like alternative spring break trips. So really something going on for everyone on campus. And campus highlights, and I do want to let you know that we've got a virtual tour available on our website. I encourage you all to take some time, if you haven't already, to check out some of those pictures, get a sense of what it's like to be here in Boston. But there are a few highlights that we like to chat about with all of you. Student Village, the first bullet point right over there, is more apartment-style housing, very popular among our upperclassmen in the western portion of campus. Really great views there, especially of the Charles River and the rest of Boston. We've got a beautiful fitness and recreation center that's open for all of our students to use any of the equipment there, really top-notch things for staying fit and active. Agganis Arena, which is where our hockey games are hosted, as well as a number of concerts and events over the course of the year. The Yawkey Center for Student Services is kind of a one-stop shopping center on the eastern portion of campus. There's a dining hall there, the Center for Career Services if you're interested in one-on-one career counseling or in pre-professional advising, as well as the Educational Resource Center if you're looking for any peer tutoring. That's really one place to go to take care of all of those needs. For those of you interested in engineering, we've got the Engineering Product Innovation Center, or EPIC for short. It's a really amazing hands-on space where students among the different engineering majors can come together and design and test different products that meet different needs. The George Sherman Union is really the heart of campus, the GSU for short. We've got food there. There's lots of spaces for clubs. There's a campus store. It's also access to our library, and it really is central, so there's always lots of bustle, lots of activity. Marsh Plaza, just outside of Marsh Chapel, and really is central to campus. Always lots of BU students, staff, faculty kind of running place to place. A lot nicer when it's a lot warmer out, but still worth checking out any time of year, really. And then the BU Beach stretches along behind campus. If you ever check out any of our maps or any aerial shots, you'll notice BU is kind of a linear campus. We're stretched out along Commonwealth Avenue. We call it Com Ave for short, which is a pretty main road just west of the heart of Boston. And the BU Beach is a green space behind us that is adjacent to the Charles River. So it's really great for runs or for nice walks, lots of trees. It's kind of a little bit of an escape from the rest of the concrete jungle of the city. And Boston itself, it really is America's college town. We've got something to the tune of around 60 colleges and universities in the greater Boston area. So it's a city that really caters to you and to people your age. And lots of really great things to check out. If you haven't been to Boston before, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet and a checklist of things to do when you're in the area if you're able to pay us a visit. The Freedom Trail, a lot of history, particularly to do with the American Revolution. Boston Common, which is a pretty beautiful park right in the heart of the city, very accessible by public transportation. I should make a note here and say that most of the city is very public transit accessible. Students don't really have much of a need for cars for the most part because the T, which is sort of our light rail system, runs right down the heart of campus and can get you just about anywhere you need to go in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. So students are absolutely taking advantage of all the things that we're talking about right now as well. The public garden, just like what it sounds like, a pretty beautiful garden. There's these swan boats that you can take on a tour around a pond in the middle of it. Fenway Park, very historical place. The Red Sox are there, and we just won the World Series, so that's definitely a claim to fame right now. The North End, for those of you who like Italian food, I know that I do. It's a great place to go. Pretty much eat your body weight in pasta and then follow it up with some gelato at the end, so you really can't go wrong there. The Museum of Fine Arts, and like many museums in the Boston area, students get free access or often student discounts. For the MFA, it is free access if you show your Terrier card. Lots of really amazing exhibits, always really great things to check out there. And to top it all off, Newberry Street, if you want to do some shopping, there's some really great stores and boutiques and the like in that area. So plenty of things to do and to check out. And in terms of the application process, now I know we're chatting a little bit about what it's like to be in Boston, what it's like to be on campus. Some of you might be wondering about the process to get to campus. So the first thing that you have to know about the application to Boston University is that we believe in a holistic review. That means that we're looking at every piece of your application before reaching a final admissions decision. So yes, we're looking at your grades. Yes, we're looking at how much you're challenging yourself. We're also checking out your test scores. We're looking at all the essays that you're submitting. We're getting a sense of what your extracurricular involvement is like, and we're getting a sense of who you are based on your letters of recommendation. And all of that is going to tell us what kind of a fit you might be for our campus. If our campus is the right fit for you, it really does go both ways. So it's a good thing because we recognize that all of you, especially seniors in the room for whom this is kind of an immediate reality, are putting a lot of work into that application. So you want to know that people are putting work in on our end, right, and getting to read all of it and appreciate it all. Also means that you want to put your best foot forward in every part of that application because, again, we are reading it all. Now, where are applicants coming from? As you can see, it's actually easier to ask where applicants aren't coming from. All the colored in sections of that map are where we're receiving applications from for BU. All 50 states and over 150 countries are represented on our campus. And this past winter, we received over 64,000 applications to the university. So for folks like me who get to spend all winter reading applications, it was definitely a long winter, but it was really great to see so much interest from around the world. And it really does go towards building a global community right here at BU. And what do I mean by a global community? Well, based on the graphic right there, you can see that just shy of a quarter of our incoming class this past year was international. So we truly do have students from all around the world represented, and we're a very globally minded institution. We think it's important to encourage cross-cultural dialogue and to get people to learn from each other. And so one of the best ways to do that is to have people from all walks of life right here on our campus. So definitely a really important priority for the university. And then the line graph to the right, you'll notice that after international students, actually the most represented group we have is from the Mid-Atlantic. So those of you who are kind of checking out BU from outside of New England, if you're thinking that everyone at Boston University is from the Boston area, it's actually not true. We've got people from all around the country. And then the last thing that I really want to focus on while we're on this slide is that 16% first generation. So first generation college students are those who are the first in their family to go on to a college or a university. university. It's a number that we're always very aware of. It's a number that we're proud of, and we're always looking to up. So what that means on a more practical level is that we get that people are coming at this college application process from very different levels of understanding. And so that's where it's my job and the job of other assistant directors in our admissions office to be able to answer any questions or concerns that you might have. So if anything's not making sense to you, if anything's unclear, feel free to reach out. All of our contact information is on the website. You can find the contact info for your regional representative, or just feel free to find me. Again, my name's Darius. Reach out via email, and we're happy to answer any of those questions and kind of clear up some of that confusion. We want to make it as streamlined a process as possible. And in terms of class size, so we were looking to enroll a class of about 3,300 students this past year, with about 690 transfer students. If anyone viewing this is interested in transferring, we recognize that the transfer process is a little bit more fluid. We can absolutely help you out with that as well. And then there's a little pie chart over there that's showing the breakdown between early decision and regular decision applications. So any students applying as a first-year student to college, there's those two pathways that you can be applying. Early decision is a binding agreement. So if you're applying early decision to us or to another school, you're telling that school that they're your top choice, and that if you're admitted, you're committed to attending that school. So it's a binding agreement that you're signing. It can be a benefit during the application process because it does show us a really high level of interest. But if you're still on the cusp, you're still considering other options, we get that this is a really big choice that you're making. Regular decision is the pathway that allows you more flexibility to kind of compare and contrast and get a sense of what's the right fit for you. And now in terms of recommended high school curriculum, I get a lot of questions on the road about what sorts of classes I should be taking, what class should I take my senior year, and while we can't make your schedule for you, we can give you some pointers about what looks like a competitive curriculum within our applicant pool. So in general, we recommend as many years and at as high a level of each of your 5 core academic subjects. So English, math, social studies, science, and foreign language. In terms of English, we really recommend 4 years of English. For math, 3 to 4 years. We advise taking through pre-calculus to be a competitive applicant. Calculus also always looks good. And if you're applying for our Questrom School of Business or our College of Engineering, calculus is required for those programs. So we do want to see that on your transcript. In terms of laboratory science and social science, we advise 3 to 4 years. And then for foreign language, we suggest 2 to 4 years. And what a challenging curriculum looks like is going to vary based on what high school you're enrolled in, and we recognize that. And so that's why we break things down into geographic territory. It's going to be someone's job to be an expert on what a challenging curriculum looks like at your high school. If you're at a school that offers, for example, honors and APs, great. How many of those are you taking advantage of? Maybe it's an IB school. Awesome. Are you challenging yourself with some of those standard or higher level courses? Maybe you're at a school that doesn't offer either of those, but there's dual enrollment or advanced courses or what have you. We'll read up on your school. We'll understand what a challenging curriculum looks like there, and we're always looking at you within that context. So you're not being compared to students at totally different schools with totally different course offerings. And in terms of financial assistance, we recognize that higher education is a big investment, and so we want to make sure that everyone is as prepared and as knowledgeable about that ahead of time. So at BU, we've got 2 main avenues for financial aid. There's need-based aid and merit-based aid. Need-based aid, like it sounds, is based on financial need. So that's information that we gather from the FAFSA and the CSS profile. It's open for all US citizens and permanent residents. And so in order to apply for need-based aid, you'll want to fill out your FAFSA and your CSS by your application deadline. So super easy to remember, it's just one deadline. And those deadlines are January 2nd for regular decision and early decision 2, or November 1st, which just passed, for early decision 1. And again, all of this is on the website, so don't feel like you have to memorize these specific dates or figures. There's a lot more detail on there. So our Office of Financial Assistance coordinates need-based aid. We're trying to make BU as affordable for as many of our students as possible. And that's why about 91% of our financial aid goes into need-based funding. The other 9% is merit-based aid. So that's financial aid that's based on the strength of your application on the whole. We've got 2 main scholarships for that. There's the presidential and the trustee. Presidential is $20,000 a year, and the trustee is full tuition. Both of them are renewable for all 4 years. To be considered for either of those, there's an earlier deadline of December 1st because we need extra time to really comb through your essays, your transcripts. Typically, students who are successful for those scholarships kind of have above our averages by the numbers and have demonstrated really strong leadership. And there's an additional essay required for the trustee scholarship. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to poke around our financial aid website. There's a lot more detail there. And so that kind of finishes up the first part of this presentation, and I've got some information up right now if you want to keep in touch with us via social media, check out what our students are up to and what campus life is like. But right now I'll play a brief video that kind of brings you a little bit more here to Boston, and then we'll get to answering some of your questions.
I found myself in awe.
I found myself making a difference.
I found myself fighting Ebola.
I found myself with a poet laureate.
I found myself bionic.
I found myself on television.
I found myself in the clouds.
I found myself winning an argument.
I found myself screaming.
I found myself a million light years away.
I found myself home.
I found myself.
I found myself.
I found myself.
I found myself at BU.
All right, and joining me today is one of our students, Megan. I'll have her introduce herself.
Hi guys, my name is Megan Murray. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I am a sophomore in our College of Arts and Sciences, double majoring in English and Cinema and Media Studies.
So Megan, first question for you right now. Why did you choose BU?
So I actually chose BU coming all the way from Nebraska. I originally fell in love with the city of Boston. Who doesn't love Boston? However, when it came time to looking at schools, I knew I wanted to go to school in Boston, but there's a lot of schools in Boston, so that didn't really help. However, because I love the city so much, my number one priority was finding a school that incorporated the city and learning to become a citizen of Boston. And I think BU does a great job of that. They really emphasize getting engaged with the community of Boston and learning to become an engaged citizen, not just a student who's going to be here for 4 years and then leave. They really do want you to find your home not only on campus, but also in the city as well.
Awesome. And how do you like living on campus?
I love living on campus. I know about 80% of our students stay on campus all 4 years. I will definitely be one of those students. I have friends surrounding me all the time. I live with some of my best friends currently, and I've met some of my best friends from just living across the hall from each other.
So someone asked, do I need a card to be on campus?
Not at all. There's the T that runs up and down our campus, Commonwealth Ave. It's really accessible and it's really cheap as well. As a college student, that's something to keep in mind. It's a lot cheaper than having to pay for parking or the frustration of parking itself. And you can get anywhere in Boston within 20 minutes.
Awesome. And how about food on campus? How's that?
No offense to my mom, but I definitely don't miss her cooking. I love our dining halls. I really do. I just came from the dining hall. It's delicious. One of my favorite things is the different themed nights that we have on campus. Our dining halls do different food themes. So one of my favorite themes is Italian night, where they serve baby octopus. It's really delicious. I know it sounds disgusting, but I swear it's good. Yeah.
And are there any opportunities for either work study or part-time jobs while you're on campus?
There's plenty of opportunities. There's so many departments at BU, then they're always looking for new students to come help out for hire. And I love being a part of the admissions team currently. I have a job on campus, and I really do love it. And so they're really flexible with your schedule as well.
Great. And are there any tutoring, is there any tutoring available for students?
There's plenty of tutoring. I know I definitely needed tutoring when I took a math class as an English major. Math is not my strongest subject, and they definitely knew that everyone's going to need help at some point. So every single classroom that I was in for my math classes, they had a list of contacts that you could call, a bunch of numbers, and post it in the corner of every single room that I was in my math building. That you could just call that number and they would connect you to a one-on-one tutor, or maybe you're uncomfortable with a one-on-one tutor, you want maybe a group effort, it would kind of cater to what your tutoring needs are.
How about your favorite professor? Tell us about who that is.
Well, one of my favorite professors has actually been Michael Prince. He taught my Contemporary American Literature course that I took this past spring. He was one of my favorite professors just because he was super flexible with not only his schedule, but also his entire syllabus. He was so flexible, in fact, that one day I walked into class and he decided that he did not want to have class in the classroom that day, even though we all already showed up. So he actually took us all out of the classroom that day and took us out to breakfast, and he called up his good friend Zadie Smith, who is a well-published author. She was just recently named one of the top 10 most influential British writers of all time. So it was a really cool opportunity that I got completely out of the blue.
That's so cool. So how about sports at BU? Are you involved with any of that, or some school spirit or anything?
As far as sports, I definitely don't have the muscles to contribute to our sports here on campus. However, they are really fun to just be in the crowd for. I know BU hockey games, they are definitely rowdy. They're a lot of fun. People get really hyped up for them, and everyone loves to wear big, huge BU hockey jerseys. So it's just a really good excuse to gather up your friends and go to the Against Arena on a Friday night and go run into everyone you know there as well.
So how did you find your roommate?
So last year, my freshman year, I actually did a random just because coming from all the way from Nebraska, I didn't really know a whole lot of people that was going to BU and was going to be in my grade or living on campus that year. So I decided to go random, and what that looked like was you fill out a survey in your housing application, and it asks you those basic living questions. What time do you wake up? What time do you go to bed? Are you messy? Are you clean? Just kind of those basic lifestyle habits. And it matches you with someone who answered most similarly to you. So I got matched up with my roommate last year, and it worked out awesome, actually. We never had a single conflict. It wasn't like I stayed up all night and she went to bed at 7, or she was up all night. We had a pretty similar schedule, and so we got along great. However, this year I am currently living with 2 other people. I am living in a triple. Yes, I managed to make it work, living with 2 more people in one small room, but it's perfectly fine. We actually found each other just because I was really good friends with one of my roommates through my major, and we actually met at orientation, which is a great place to meet people on campus. And then one of my roommates was random as well, and same thing, she filled out a survey and it matched up with our answers. So it's been going great.
So what's a typical class size for you?
Typical class size, so I know personally I've never had a class that's been more than 20 people. Because I'm an English major, a lot of my classrooms are going to be pretty intimate discussion-based classes. So those are about 20 people maximum, but it's all been pretty intimate. In fact, my class with my professor, Michael Prince, he had our classroom just in this small little boardroom that was on the top floor of the English department, and we all got to sit around one small table, and we had a beautiful view of the Charles River. So it was a really nice and quiet place, small place to have class, and it was really nice. And then one of my smallest classes has actually been 8 people. So that was my German class, and it was really nice because it was just us circling the professor, and she definitely knew who was there at class and who wasn't at class. She knew your face pretty well.
Great. Now is probably a good time to mention that we maintain an average class size of 27 and a 10-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, so this isn't too far off of a typical experience here at BU. So are you in any clubs, and if so, what's your favorite?
So I'm only a sophomore, but I have been involved in 2 clubs on campus. I found both of these clubs at an event that Darius mentioned earlier, Splash. It happens every fall and at the beginning of the winter semester as well. It's a great opportunity to find a bunch of different clubs, and it's really fun to just sign up for things that you never knew it even existed, and that's what I did. I signed up for the beekeeping club, which it gets tossed around a lot because nobody really knows what it is. I signed up for that club, and within our very first meeting, we made our very own chapstick out of beeswax. I only went to the first meeting, but I say it counts, and I still have the chapstick, so it was worth it for me. And then the other club that I'm involved in is actually the book club. And that's definitely my favorite club just because I'm an English major. But however, it's actually, I'm the only English major in that club. So it's people from all over campus. There's engineers, business majors, a lot of political science. So it's people that I don't normally get to interact with, but in my everyday classes. So it's really nice to get that diversity from all across campus.
So are there any good coffee shops around campus?
I'm sure you know what I'm thinking. It's definitely Pavement. Pavement is right across from Marsh Plaza. It's definitely a BU favorite. That is where I go probably at least once a day. Unfortunately, sometimes I am there twice a day. You'll find people there all the time. You're constantly running into people. And once you see someone there, you might see them in the morning, and then you come back in the afternoon, they're still sitting in the same spot. Once you grab a spot, people tend to stay there all day like I do, and it's definitely a great place to hang out.
It's an awesome coffee shop. So is public transportation expensive?
Not at all. I really do appreciate public transportation. It is about $2.50 per ride for students in the city of Boston, and that can take you all over. So for just $2.50, I can go all the way to Cambridge or Somerville, Medford, or I can go straight downtown, go to the wharf, walk along, go to the aquarium, things like that. So it's really worth it.
So how about study abroad? Do you or is anyone you know studied abroad?
I have a lot of friends that have studied abroad already. In fact, majority of them did it during their junior year kind of area, although I do have friends that are doing it this next semester within their second semester of their sophomore year. But really, you can study abroad at any stage. I would say it's most common just after your freshman year. I know I personally am planning on studying abroad next fall, so it's going to be the fall of my junior year. I'm going to be studying English in London, England. So it'll be really fun to check out all of the old traditional English, British literature spots, hit up some Shakespeare. It'll be a lot of fun.
Have you met with global programs to chat about that yet?
So far, I've just started the application process, so I haven't necessarily met with the specific study abroad office. However, I sat down with my academic advisor. We went over the plan, what it would look like if I did go study abroad, and it all worked out fine. And I would come back and only have to take a couple more classes to fulfill my major. And after that, I would be good to go and be able to take electives and still have plenty of room in my schedule.
Awesome. And it's good to note here, too, that financial aid, everything travels with students when they go abroad, so it doesn't cost more than a semester would for students on campus. So, Megan, what's your favorite BU tradition?
So my favorite BU tradition is, maybe you guys have heard of it, it's called Lobster Night. It's a pretty big deal on campus. So what it is, BU at the beginning of the school year, which is a great way to kick off the school year, they serve full lobsters, like huge meaty lobsters with the claws and everything. They do not crack it for you, so you have to get down and dirty and do it yourself. So they give you a bib, they give you some cracking material, and it's just you and your friends just going to town. It gets really gross and disgusting. My sweater afterwards smelled terrible. It was so fishy. But it's a really fun tradition, and I actually found out this year, normally when you go, you use your meal plan just to get those tickets to get the lobsters, which is really nice, so you get a lobster for your meal. However, within a semester, you get these guest meals. I found out you can use all of your guest meals in one night for about 10 extra lobsters. So it's a really good deal.
So how do you like living in the city now that you're in Boston?
I love Boston. I really do. I have been trying to stay here for as long as possible. So I really think I have found my community in Boston. One of my favorite neighborhoods actually is Brookline, which is just in the backyard of BU. So I end up over there a lot, and I feel like I've really made a community over there. I like to get involved with the different cinemas around Boston as well. So one of my favorite places is Coolidge Corner, which is in Brookline, like I just mentioned. So I can just walk over there in about 15 minutes and I get to participate in a local community event.
Coolidge Corner is a really great theater.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any vegan or gluten-free options or anything for those with dietary restrictions?
Of course. So for vegan options, we do have our vegan dining hall, vegan and kosher dining hall, which is located in our Hallel house on the 3rd floor. That does happen to be one of my favorite dining halls on campus. It is super delicious. And then for gluten-free options, all of our dining halls do have their own gluten-free counters and sections, as well as a gluten-free cabinet or pantry that you get swipe access to. That way the whole environment is gluten-free itself.
So what's your favorite spot to study on campus?
Favorite spot to study? I know this may not be a popular opinion, but I do love to study in Mugar. I like the 2nd floor in the back corner where we're completely surrounded by books. As an English major, whenever I'm bored looking at my computer screen or whatever I'm working on, I do like to get up and just browse the aisles for a while. That's kind of one of my favorite reasons why I like to study at Mugar. But another nice thing is that Mugar also incorporates our Howard Gottlieb Archival Research Center, which houses over 10,000 artifacts, which is really cool because it's kind of like a museum within our library. So when I'm really bored and need a break, I start walking the aisles, looking at books, and then I can also look at different artifacts from all of these famous people that have traveled the world and donated the artifacts to BU, which is really cool. So it's kind of, I get to learn some more information about these people that had these amazing lives.
So how about internship opportunities? Is there anyone to help you out with that on campus?
Yeah, so if you go to the Center for Career Development, they're not just there for when you leave BU and those final career options. They'll also help you find internships during your time on campus as well. There's also on our Student Link page when there is a spot that lists all of the internship opportunities on campus as well as off campus that are affiliated with BU or like to work with BU. That way you know it's BU approved and they will help you navigate the process as well. So it makes it really easy to apply for internships on campus or off campus by just having it one spot where you can just click a link and it'll give you the application.
And a testament to the work they do is that 91% of our students do complete at least one internship by the time they've graduated. We've got a 91% placement rate 6 months after graduation in either a full-time job, year of service such as AmeriCorps, or graduate school. And we were just ranked 5th in the country and 6th in the world for the employability of our graduates by Times Higher Education. So just a couple of admission stats to throw in there and back that up. So next question, living so far from home, do you get homesick?
Unfortunately, I do not actually, which is pretty sad. My mom's kind of sad about that one. I really don't. I think I found such a community here in Boston that this really does feel like my home. Although I do, miss my dogs a lot. However, I find that in western portion of campus there tends to be a lot of dogs. So I know the good spots to head to. However, I think that I've just had a really good support system here on campus with my faculty, my advisors, and then just finding those different clubs. They kind of introduce you to a bunch of different people. They'll give you a good, diverse support system, so you always have someone to turn to. And there's plenty of spots that you can find within the city of Boston that might incorporate something that you used to do at home. So at home, I used to go to my local theater and watch really obscure movies. So now I head to the Coolidge Corner Theater where I can still see those kind of artsy films.
How easy is it for you to change a major?
It actually is really easy. I personally haven't completely changed my major. The most crazy I've gotten is I actually added on a major. I added on cinema and media studies after learning that not only did I like to read books, but I also wanted to spend my days watching movies. And that was really easy. I just went to my academic advisor. We sat down. We looked at the different courses that were going to count for both English degree and my cinema and media studies degree. And it turns out there's a lot of similarities that overlap, so it made a really seamless process. However, I do have a good friend, Lydia. She actually changed her major 5 times, and she's still graduating in 4 years. She's perfectly on track. So really, if you're worried about changing your majors, trust me, it's a 6th time won't matter as well.
And if you're not entirely sure what you want to study quite yet, undeclared is the most popular major we have for students entering by the numbers. We've got really excellent undeclared advising and people who will help you kind of parse through that and figure out what you're passionate about. So how is Boston different from the rest of New England?
Well, for starters, the accent, it's pretty strong and heavy. However, I think Boston, the city, is super lively, and Bostonians, you'll be able to tell them you can point them out from a crowd. They love their sports. They are very passionate about everything that they do. But Boston itself, it really is a global hub as well. It incorporates all parts of the world, and it's a really great place to find different communities within the city of Boston and just a huge diversity.
So are most of your friends within your major or not?
I really have a wide range. When I first came to campus, I met a lot of my good friends through the orientation, where they do try to get you more comfortable with people in your major. You spend a lot of time with them just because you are signing up for classes, doing all that introductory stuff. However, I do have friends with all different kinds of majors, including pre-med, which is completely out of my range. But you really meet people all over, and I've met those people through my classes as well.
So what are your favorite experiences so far from exploring the city?
Favorite experiences from exploring the city. One of my favorite days from exploring the city, it was 2 weeks into the school year last year. So my freshman year, 2 weeks in, I was out exploring the city with my brand new friends I just made. We were all pretty new to the city. We don't really know what we're doing. We're just kind of having fun. We went downtown to the theater district and was walking around. We were going to go see a play. And then all of a sudden, I just happened to bump into Rob Schneider, who is a very niche kind of actor, and I did not expect to run into him, and I completely forgot that Boston's like a real city where like other celebrities know what it is and like to visit there. So it was really cool. I got to meet him, and he talked to me a little bit about BU and how he liked BU and stuff like that. So it was a really cool random experience as well. But I think that was a really good introduction to Boston itself. It was really exciting for me. It got me really excited to see what else I could find when I go out on a random day and just try different areas of Boston.
So what's your plan for the future with your major? The question that I'm sure everyone gets.
My parents ask me this all the time. What am I going to do with my English degree? So I don't know quite yet. I don't think anyone on campus truly knows, but that's totally okay. I'm totally confident that I'll find out. What I really want to do is just something that I love, and I think that's something that all BU students share. It's going to be something that I'm passionate about. Possibly I love to read, so maybe I'll go into publishing with my English degree. Who knows? That would be really great. But all I know is I'll end up somewhere where I'm going to be loving it, and I'll want to be doing it for quite a while.
You're a sophomore, so you still have time to
work I'm not too worried.
So is there Greek life on campus?
There's not a whole lot of Greek life on campus. It is about 15% of the student body is involved in Greek life. I like to say that Greek life is more of a club here at BU. It's not something that overrules the campus or the student life. It doesn't dominate anything on campus. But if you are interested, it certainly is there. Another great place to seek out this Greek life is Splash. All of the Greek life organizations will be there along with the clubs and organizations. So that's kind of why associated as a club. And there's a bunch of different Greek life organizations on campus. So there's social fraternities and sororities. There's also business ones. There's service ones where they volunteer. There's also, I know, a film one. So they all have different interests. So you can kind of seek those out depending on what you're into.
So did you visit campus before applying?
I did, actually. I did visit campus, and I really had a great experience. I loved walking around and everything like that. But I kind of knew I wanted to go to BU before even visiting campus. I definitely done a lot of research and looked at a lot of Google images. However, I think the academics really pulled me in. But visiting campus was definitely a final touch that solidified my decision to apply to BU.
So how are the winters here?
So coming from Nebraska, believe it or not, the winters here are better than Nebraska. Back in Nebraska, it started snowing a month ago, and it is already like 5 inches thick there. So I have to say winters are not that bad here. If you're worried about winters, it's okay. You'll get through them. Everyone else does. I actually bought these huge snow boots that go past my knee, thinking I would have to trek for miles in these thick snow. I've never used them. So it's perfectly fine. The streets get cleared. They salt the sidewalks. Everyone gets around perfectly fine. It definitely does not slow the city down at all.
Good question to ask, though.
Yeah.
So what's your typical day like?
It's really hard to say, but actually my day starts with I go to about 2 classes in the morning. I'm currently in an English class and a German class, so I'll go to those in the morning, and then I am currently employed by the admissions office, so I go to work and I go to the visitor center where I do my job, and then afterwards I have another class in the afternoon. And then I go eat, I study for a little bit, and then I go to bed. So I think that's kind of typical for any student, really. It's a mixture of classes, extracurriculars, any other involvement. So it's really up to you on how you want to fill those spaces, your time.
So was it easy for you to fit in?
So I think those clubs and organizations definitely help. It's all about finding your people, your community. So don't be afraid to reach out to different groups and organizations on campus, try different things. Maybe there's something in high school that you've always been kind of interested in, maybe a little bit too shy. Feel free to just go ahead and try it. No one really, when you first come to campus, no one really knows you here, so it's okay to just try anything. You can be anyone you want. So try anything you really want to do, and eventually you'll just kind of find that community that really speaks to you.
Has BU provided you with any unique experiences?
I would say it definitely has. Within my Contemporary American Literature course with Michael Prince, one of my favorite authors, I think something that I got out of that course that was extremely unique was not only the Sadie Smith experience, but also I got to work with some of the authors that we were reading at the time. So since it was Contemporary American Literature, a lot of the authors were still alive and still writing. So one of the days we had Allegra Goodman, who is an author that lives over in Cambridge. She also happens to be a good friend of Michael Prince. And he had her come in to the classroom one day, and she taught a whole class for us. And basically what it was, she took us through her publishing process, what it's like to be a writer and work on your art, and going through that whole publishing process from the very first draft to the final product. So it's definitely a super unique experience that I definitely wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
And how is the LGBTQIA community on campus? Is it strong? Is it accepted?
I definitely feel a strong presence. I know I have a lot of friends that are involved in it, and they definitely are very open and accepting, and they try to get everyone to come to their events, and it's really fun, and it's a really great open community. You can just stop into any of their events. They'll be more than happy to just talk to you for a little bit, hang out. It's just kind of a way to hang out with people, meet different people, kind of get that diversity on campus as well. So it's a really great way to kind of meet new friends.
So did you apply early decision or regular decision, and what was kind of your reasoning behind your pathway?
So I actually applied early decision. That was mostly because of BU was definitely my top choice because of that strong sense of community. I really like that BU is super involved in the city of Boston. That was definitely something that was really important to me, and so it really just became my number one choice, and I knew right away that I wanted to apply early decision.
How much time do you spend walking, like to class or to work?
I actually do not spend that much time walking. All of my classes in my living situation is all fairly close to each other, so my longest commute is about a 7-minute walk from my dorm building all the way to the College of Arts and Sciences, which is where the majority of my classes are, since I am enrolled in the College of Arts and Sciences.
Super far away.
Yeah.
So last question. Do you have any advice for someone who's looking to apply to BU?
If you are currently applying to BU, I would just like to keep in mind, I would say, remember what you're passionate about. Don't try to be someone that you're not. If you are really passionate about a certain topic, stick to that and make that show through your application. I think passion goes a long way here. It definitely speaks volumes to who you are as a person. And then also, if you're worried about that essay portion, which I know can be kind of tricky and really intimidating to write 2 essays for one school, I would just say, tell a story, show us a little bit about yourself, just kind of explain who you are. You don't have to give your whole entire background, but just give a little insight to who you are.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks so much, Megan, for answering all of our questions so far. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Like I said earlier, definitely check out our website, poke around, take a virtual tour if you're a little too far out to come visit campus. If you are close enough by and you're considering, I definitely recommend paying us a visit. Really great chance to connect with some other students and some staff. And other than that, have a great rest of your evening and best of luck with the rest